Origin reading for Psychic Center. Okay, so I have, let me see, 2, 4, 5 crystals here. And a lot of them have to do with clearing. 4 of them have to do with clearing. 3 of them have to do with psychic protection and also drawing out energies. So let me see what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with this one. So this is Shattuckite. This has a lot to do with psychic ability, clairvoyance, healing abilities, empathic abilities, connecting with the earth. A lot to do with healing. It's a very calming stone, but also a lot to do with the third eye. And at the beginning, when I was setting up the space for this reading, as always, I play some meditation music. So I was actually playing music for the crown chakra. But then when the code name came in, it was more referring to the third eye. So there's a couple of chakras going on here that have a lot to do with psychic abilities. Okay, and then I have here peacock ore. And this one has a lot to do with clearing. As you can see, it has a lot of different color variations in it, and peacock ore tends to represent all of the chakras versus just one. Whereas a lot of the stones and crystals have usually to do with just one chakra. This has to do with all of the chakras, clearing them out, maintaining them, aligning them, and then I have these 3 here. Okay, my purple fluorite, my smoky quartz, and then tektite, which is a piece of meteorite actually. So this one especially really has to do with drawing out energies, drawing out toxins, okay? And anything that's negative or stagnant, and it absorbs that energy. So it also does have to do with healing, regenerating, and it has, to me, kind of a black hole type of energy with it that I'm kind of picking up for this reading specifically. So there is like a lot of, it's almost like a gravitational pull that I feel from it. So it wants to pull something out, it wants to clear something. And I also get harness something, because again, there's that word rejuvenation. When something is cleared, then it brings about this restorative energy at the same time, because your own energy can manifest, whereas it was blocked before from doing that. And I feel like there are some energies that have to do with even the new year, because I'm putting this out now. And actually, I was going to do your reading before the pregnancy, or not the pregnancy, but before the birth. I was going to do your reading, and I had yours on the top of my list, and then your guides just wouldn't speak. And now all of a sudden they will finally talk. And so I think that that's actually something to do with it, because I am picking up like some new year energies. Sometimes I'll have a guide that just doesn't want to talk, and then all of a sudden it does. And usually I don't pick up a specific reason for that. It's more something that was going on with the person, or just for some specific reason they wanted to give the message to that person right then at that point versus earlier or later. So sometimes I might bump someone up, or sometimes, like I said, their guide just might not want to speak right away, according to the little lineup. So so they like to mess that up a little bit sometimes. This one also has to do with psychic ability though. The purple fluorite. So it has to do with psychic protection, but then it also has to do with psychic ability. I'm getting this energy about alignment again. So as you can see, there's a lot of crystals here that really have to do with something being cleansed, cleared, toxic energies being drawn out and released. and then having to do with something coming through and something manifesting. As I get the word manifesting and restoring, some of this feels like physical health to me. Um, but then there's also this feeling of like your ability to see clearly so that you can manifest, and even so that your guides can more give you a clear picture, um, even as to what you resonate with as a soul. There's a feeling like that. So I feel like this is going to be a good year for manifesting things, but I also feel like there's still some things that need to be drawn out, and there's some things that need to be healed, but there's like some poisonous, um, some toxins that just feel kind of old and like stagnant energy that needs to be drawn out and taken care of. So there's like some loose ends that need to be tied, and then I feel like you'll have this clear pathway to manifest things that will improve your life more. This is odd. I have this guide coming up. Um, there's like a weird energy with this though. So I'm not sure if this is actually having to do with like the origin of the guide, maybe a little. This feels like a little bit of a fairyish energy. I don't feel like this is a main guide. Um, but there's the reason that I was saying I'm not sure if this is exactly having to do with the guide's origins or just something more symbolic, something that they want to get across. I think it has something to do with the type of guide that it is as well, though, because I do pick up like a fairyish kind of energy, but they're coming in with this energy that feels like snow. And there's a feeling again like of stagnation. There's a feeling of stagnation. A lot of times ice, it's still, it's water that was flowing and then it's frozen in place, or it's snow falling to the ground like ice versus rain falling to the ground, which is very fluid. So there's this feeling of stagnation, and she keeps showing me this guide feels female. She keeps showing me like an ice pick, and so again, there's this theme still in this reading of almost like breaking through the stagnation, breaking through that. And then underneath the ice, there's still this flowing water. And then underneath that, you have solid ground, which in other words represents manifestation. And this guide is wearing like all white. She looks very fairyish. And wearing like an all white dress. There's also another feeling about this color has to do with newness, bringing forth something new, um, and clarity. I actually got that before as well. So there's this stagnation that the ice can represent, but it can also represent refinement, is a word I'm getting, and also clarity, as you have that ability to see something in a crystal clear way. And there's a kind of family energy that I keep picking up on. Um, and there's something to do with clarity and your perception and family. There's a feeling like sometimes you're drawing energies into yourself. You're absorbing energies into yourself that aren't your own. And I feel like that's part of the reason that things get clouded. And it feels like a very empathic energy. Sometimes you're picking up on energies that aren't yours, but especially particularly with family, it feels like you have some cords to family, and especially to some specific people. It feels like you pick up on them, and then some things um, are not your own. And there's an energy that keeps coming in with like career. It feels like. Um, and it feels like, for instance, sometimes if you were to um, want to do something and then you don't, like if you were to lose an interest in something, or you're not exactly sure what to do, and maybe you um, feel like doing different things, or you could do different things, um, but it actually feels like sometimes you are almost empathically, you could empathically actually be picking up on someone else's passion or someone else's energy. There's actually a feeling that sometimes you might even put that somewhere that that person wouldn't even necessarily put it. Um, just whatever happens to flow to you at the time with that energy presently there. And then you sort of associate it with that and put it towards that. And it ends up not really being your highest passion, where you could really, really stick with something, where you could really stick with that one thing. Even with your origin, since this is an origin reading, I almost get that sense as well. Like I would almost have to clear that energy a little bit before I could pick up on a specific place, because it feels like um, there's almost this clouded energy. Like you could be from here, you could be from there, like you could be from multiple places, and you would relate to multiple energies. And that's also why I'm getting this word refinement, why I was getting that before. And it's like something needs to be fine tuned, um, and that crystal clarity again. For instance, you can have this iceberg or just this mess of ice, but then you can take the ice pick and you can carve away the excess, and you can create this statue. Or let's say this would be more accurate. Let's say there is this statue of this person underneath, or I'm going to say this fairy person underneath. Um, since that's who's speaking, that's who keeps coming through with this ice. So let's say you have a statue of this fairy person underneath, and now you are picking away at all this ice, right? And once it drops, once it comes off, you see what's actually there. So as you remove these excess energies, as you remove these energies that aren't yours, and you draw them out like this tektite does, as you do that, then it's like they keep giving me that word refined or refinement, and fine tune. but it's like you're zoning in on your own energy. You're finding your own energy in the midst of all that. So sometimes your voice can be hard to hear and it can be kind of confusing when there are multiple interests, but they're not really yours. It's not like that one concrete thing that never changes, where you never change. You feel constant, you feel consistent, and you don't feel like anything could possibly sway you or move you. And there's a lot of that going on, but it feels like that those energies are the reason why you wouldn't be able to manifest something that lasts or that's really long term in some areas. Obviously, not in all areas, but there is definitely a feeling of career for some reason and placement, like finding your true calling and your true place. Okay, so um, I was thinking maybe I need to clear some energies to get the origin, but they're coming in with the origin, I think. I think I'm still going to go ahead and okay, so as what I'm doing is I'm just visualizing that there's energy coming into the crystal, and that's just kind of what's automatically happening, what I'm automatically being shown. And I see this actually coming from two different chakras. One is the heart chakra, and then the other is the higher heart chakra. You don't always hear about that one. It's in between the heart and the throat chakra, and it has to do a lot with empathy, um, even in some ways to a greater degree than the heart chakra does. It's especially focused and centered around that empathy, even like world empathy, healing, knowing your true place, your true calling. But a lot of these energies are sort of filtered through there. And so the thing about that is things can then pull on your heartstrings. And again, specifically with family. And it might seem like you have similar interests to some of your family members. And it doesn't mean that you would never have any similar interests, but still, um, a lot of that is a lot of that is not your stuff. It's not your calling, and your it's not what you would truly be interested in or your true field or what you are really qualified to do as a soul, and what your sort of highest talents would be. It's just like an opportunity that arises out of this same current of energy, and it's not even your current of energy, but you can still attract things out of it. So sometimes it might be something that they are specifically interested in, and you pick up on it, you absorb it. And now that's like temporarily something that you are into. But other times, like I was saying before, you absorb that energy, you pick up on it, and now it's there, and then you just happen to see this thing, and now you're into that. So there's a feeling of being careful where you put your energies, that you need to see clearly, and you need to sort of abort um, like why go down a rabbit hole that doesn't end up really leading you anywhere because um you didn't create that experience, you didn't create that rabbit hole manifesting there. um in other words, your own energy didn't draw it to you. This other energy drew it to you that you first drew from someone else. But I also feel like sometimes people are sort of putting these energies on you. Okay, so I also keep getting the throat chakra as well. Um, and that the throat chakra needs to be cleared also. But this is in very close proximity, obviously, to the higher heart and the heart chakra. I'm feeling my solar plexus as well. So these just happen to be in close proximity to these chakras that are taking in so much energy and absorbing so much. There's also some cords in the shoulders, but a lot of times shoulders have to do with family, a lot of times. And in the back, also, a lot of times we have, uh, a lot of times we have cords to family in the back. And especially the lower back, since that's the sacral chakra area, people tend to have family cords in that area if they do have them. And I would say that most people have cords to family because people are around their family a lot. But some people um, have more energy passing through those cords than others. Some people have more cords than others. And then obviously some people have less cords than others, or they're not as influenced by the cords that have developed, or there's a lot of things that they have already broke. So there's a feeling of just sort of questioning everything. Um, question everything that's yours temporarily, because it might not really be coming from you. It might not actually be yours. So they're saying to question excitement, um, question passion, question excitement. Make sure that it's true, make sure that it's genuine. If it's an excess energy from someone else, then what it really is fear and anxiety that's just masking itself temporarily as a passion or an excitement, and it's just going to wear off. Also, protect yourself empathically. Okay, maybe I can finally get to this. So I keep picking up on like a Pleiadian energy. I definitely feel like that is the origin. That for sure does feel like the origin to me. Now you have another guide coming in. This feels like a male guide. He feels like a kind of grounding type of guide. I would say this is more the main guide, whereas this other female guide, it felt like was more helping me with a specific area. Whereas this guide feels more like he's helping you just kind of in general. This guide does feel Pleiadian, or he's saying that he's Pleiadian, but he's actually feeling wise, he feels a little bit different than a lot of Pleiadians because he's coming in with such a grounding type of energy, and I think that's just because that's what you need right now. So one thing about Pleiadians is a lot of joy, and that's one thing that I'm definitely picking up on. And that's one thing about him is he's feeling a little bit more focused, um, and a little bit more serious with his energy right now. And again, I feel like that's just because it's what you need, because he doesn't really want you to get really distracted and sidetracked, because there's a feeling like there are things that you want and you can manifest them as long as you are not distracted by external things and outside things and confusion, and things that take you away from your goals. So he's saying to question, who am I right now? Am I me? Am I being me? Um, or whose energy am I, well, he's saying, or whose energy am I allowing to replace me in this moment, right now? Who am I being? Whose energy am I acting out of? Is he saying if you're not being you, then you're allowing someone else to replace you. You're allowing their energy to overtake your own. And that, in a sense, is like an actual replacement in that moment. It's like you're being them. You're not acting out of who you are, you're acting out of who they are. So he's saying to be aware of that and fine tune your senses, now that you know how highly empathic you are. I think you are already aware of your empathy. There is a feeling like that. But you can be aware of it to a degree and not know how empathic you are, to the point that you are picking up on excitements from others. And I feel like this isn't so much in general you have to worry about, when it comes to this anyway. Like the mall and stuff, that doesn't mean don't protect yourself or that you might not feel something when you are, um, around so much energy that's being generated. But it feels like unless it's personal, um, you're still not going to absorb it so much and in such a way, like a specific way, where it could, um, like affect you so negatively, um, where you're acting out of it so much. So he's just saying that again, to be aware of who and what you're acting out of all the time, and to see that clearly and make sure that that is like a priority to, um, to let that stick out in your mind and be almost like a mantra, be something that you, are continuously on the lookout for a while. And he's saying for a while, like maybe even like a year, like where you, like until you really stick with one thing, um, with one goal, um, and really, see it through all the way to the end and make sure that it's your own. So he's saying if it goes away, um, that doesn't mean make yourself keep going with it. That means it's someone else's. that means that it actually went away for a reason, and you're just very empathic. So he's also saying meditating and focusing on your heart chakra, um, and your throat chakra. The throat chakra has to do with self expression, and it also just has to do with the self in general and your ability to know yourself. There's a lot of that in the throat center, and just being aware of who you are. And that would be there since this is a chakra that has to do with expressing who you are. Of course, it's also going to help you to center and pinpoint who you are. And it's also right next to these chakras that can be very empathic and pick up on energies from other people. So it's very good to have this this chakra right there, but it can also get a bit blocked too when you're absorbing so much. The solar plexus also, it has a lot to do with self-confidence, um, self-growth, self-empowerment, and just a sense of yourself, a sense of who you are. Okay, so that is the end of this reading. He does not have anything else to say for now, so thank you very much, Psychic Center, for allowing me to do this reading for you, and I truly hope that it benefits you. Thank you very much. Namaste.